Hello and welcome to Pokemon News, where you could be watching 50,000 people playing the same Pokemon game, but instead you're just watching one guy talk about it. This February 13th, we saw another Nintendo Direct announcement, which means naturally we have a ton of Nintendo news to get through. But if you didn't have the time to watch the whole 1 hour announcement, here is a bite-sized version of all the important news that I saw from it. In Smash Bros. News, a new fighter is confirmed that has not been in a previous game. Little Mac from Punch-Out! Now this is especially interesting because the short fighter only saw himself as an assist trophy in Brawl, but has gotten the full upgrade to main playable character in these games. He seems fairly interesting, all about close-up combat, counters, things that an actual boxer would have. Seems to have pretty poor recovery, and he has this really interesting ability where you charge a KO meter, and when it's full, it seems like you just get a one-hit knockout. Some people say this KO thing looks pretty cheap. I don't really see it that way. Looks like it takes a pretty long time to charge up, much longer than, say, a home run bat swing, but maybe it'll be a good edge guarding tactic. Who knows? Either way, I'm just excited to have a new fighter that has not been in these games before. And speaking of new characters, there's a few new racers showing up for the upcoming Wii U Mario Kart 8 game. The entire cast of Koopalings that are Bowser's supposed adopted children. Now, I don't know if they'll all have separate racing stats, if they're all just palette swaps of each other, but it's always exciting to see new characters coming into games that have not been there before. The last I played the Wii U Mario Kart, it looked great, played great, and I'm really excited for it. Nintendo's already said that there are still a few more characters that you would not expect to be in the game, so I'm crossing my fingers for some cool ones. The new Mario Kart game comes out in May, and it is going to be a pretty busy month for Nintendo because 2 more release dates were dropped for games that are going to come out in May. First is Kirby Triple Deluxe, which I have been waiting for a long time. Looks awesome, it's doing great in Japan, and we've talked about it before, and I could not get it any faster. The other game coming on May is the upcoming Mario Golf World Tour for 3DS. Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Mario Golf series. I've been a huge fan of it. Cannot wait to have it portably. One big feature they showed in the trailer is the ability to play as your Mii and customize their equipment. And while this does seem kind of cool, I kind of hate playing as Mii's, so hopefully you can still use custom equipment on the standard Mario, Peach, Daisy, whoever. And in a surprise announcement, Pokémon Trozei is seeing a sequel in the form of Pokémon Battle Trozei, downloadable on the 3DS eShop in March. While I am a tiny bit sad that this won't see a physical release, I am happy as long as it means that I get to see a Pokémon Trozei game coming to the 3DS. I rated Pokémon Trozei fairly highly on my top 10 Pokémon spin-off games list, which you can see right here, but in general, I just think it's a clever and fun puzzle game. I think a lot of people will enjoy this type of game, especially when you see the amount of Match 3 type games coming out today, like Candy Crush that everyone's playing, but instead you can play it with adorable Pokemon companions in sort of a battle style. Looks like a lot of fun, and I can't wait for it. And speaking of Candy Crush, it seems like Nintendo is starting to dip their feet into the waters of that kind of free-to-play microtransaction style of game. They've got both a Submarine Command game and an upcoming baseball title that are both free-to-play and have different ways where you can pay to unlock the rest of the game. Now, these titles don't seem inherently interesting to me, but to see Nintendo at least trying to understand the way that people are paying and playing games right now, it's at least slightly forward-thinking. Or technically backward-thinking, since they're so late to the curve. Whatever, Nintendo's doing things. And finally, Nintendo showed a look into some of their upcoming third-party games for Wii U. I'm dead serious, it actually just sounds weird saying third-party game for Wii U, but there are some of them. 2 of them, in fact, look pretty cool. The first is Monolith X, which appears to be a spiritual sequel of their Xenoblade game on the Wii, but plus Max. So it's pretty much already on the upper echelon of awesome, full of crazy JRPG visuals and ridiculous action commands. Seems like something that would be really great to mitigate onto the Wii U gamepad to control much more easily than actually fiddling through menus. I hope they go through it that way, but either way, I'm very excited for this game. I really hope it does come to the States, just not much later like Xenoblade did. And the other is Bayonetta 2, which looks basically like Devil May Cry, but if Dante was a girl. Now, there's been some interesting stuff in the trailer, such as a new character who's hooded and has blue cornrows, but to be honest, this is nowhere near the strangest thing I've seen in a Bayonetta game as of yet. But in general, I think my favorite part about this presentation was watching Iwata talk about this very mature game, but still using his same Nintendo poise and family friendliness.
In Bayonetta 2, there's a powerful new ability that lets you release all the accumulated magic power as a single powerful attack called the Umbran Climax.
But anyway, that's my recap of the Nintendo Direct presentation. It was full of more information, I would say, than the usual Nintendo Direct, so if you want to watch the whole thing, links down there in the description. But aside from Nintendo Direct, I have 2 pieces of news, both Pokemon related, so let's do this, Pikachu. What do we got? First bit of news is that the legendary, or supposed legendary X and Y Pokemon Diancie has been officially revealed as a real, official thing. Hackers were able to uncover both this Pokemon by the name of Hoopa, and a Pokemon by the name of Volcanion all at the same time. They seem to be supposed event legendaries, but this is the first time we've actually heard of one of them. That being said, we still haven't heard anything about how you can actually obtain this Pokemon or what kind of event it's coming with, but they said details were coming soon. It's Rock and Fairy type, and interestingly has some kind of relationship with Carbink, also Rock and Fairy. Now I know it's not a Mega Evolution because you can see it in the Pokemon and Me screen, and Mega Evolutions can't be there, but it is interesting that they're going to have some kind of connection between what looks like a legendary Pokemon and just a regular one. So details will pan out on that soon. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I will let you guys know how you can get Diancie on your own team. And secondly, a piece of news that was my personal favorite this week, a Twitch.tv social experiment called Twitch Plays Pokemon aired just a few days ago, and it has taken off like wildfire. The concept is pretty simple, but it has gotten crazy. Here's how it works. A Twitch.tv stream of Pokemon Red or Blue is playing on the main screen, and whenever a commenter enters a main Game Boy command into the stream, such as up, down, left, right, BA, start, it will get transferred by an IRC bot into an actual command in the game. Now, when you have thousands of people all commenting at the same time, certain commands are ignored. The same way if you're just jamming buttons in your Game Boy, not everything is going to be registered. But by combining all of these commands, everyone is playing a single game of Pokemon at once. Now, at the time of this airing, it was as many as 50,000 people all trying to play a single game. The stream is so interesting because normal things you take for granted, playing by yourself, are so much harder when you have 50,000 people all playing at the same time, all having to deal with a 20-second input lag from what you type into the screen at the same time. It is like watching the worst player of all time play Pokemon, and it is so darn entertaining. They're struggling with simple tasks you could do by yourself in seconds, like teaching one Pokemon cut, letting your Pokemon evolve without jamming down the B button, holding on to your items without tossing them. R.I.P. Nugget. R.I.P. Moonstone. It is ridiculous, and even though a majority of the stream is just filler of character just walking in circles or dealing with battles, it's something that I've had streaming just near constantly because it's so interesting. I want to know, how far can this group get, and can they succeed when you have this many people playing at the same time? Literally, Pokemon was in the top 3 of most games played on Twitch.tv, up there with the likes of League of Legends and StarCraft 2, just because so many people are watching this one single stream. Now, this actually does pose a really interesting social problem. The more people that watch the stream, the more chaotic the commands will get, and the harder it'll get to play. So there's going to be this sort of oscillation where, as you get farther in the game, if they get stuck for long enough, people will get bored and stop watching, allowing more players to band together and work and try and solve this thing. But the more popular it gets, and I'm actually probably going to make the stream worse by even talking about it in this video, the more ridiculous it's going to get. That's it for today's Nintendo news. I know it was a busy week, but if you enjoyed it and want to get more news like this each week, you can click here to subscribe to my channel and get alerts when new videos are coming out. My question for you guys is, do you think that 50,000 people can band together and actually beat a single game of Pokemon? Click here if you think yes, it is possible, it can happen, or here if no, there's no way, it will disband before they ever get past some of the more difficult parts of the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.